Welcome to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I am your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I am a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C., a podcaster. Please review and subscribe to this podcast. I am an author, journalist, and mentor to women in recovery. I did a TEDx talk called Turning Life's Challenges into a Force for Good. And if you would hit the like button on that, I would very much appreciate it. I'm applying for another TEDx talk. And it is essentially a summary of my most popular book, which is called 50 After 50, Reframing the Next Chapter of Your Life. And any author can use more reviews of their books. So please review it when you have a chance. You can learn more about me at marialeonardolson.com. I started this podcast 5 years ago because my work in the realm of women in midlife has brought me in contact with a lot of amazing women who have inspired me and I think will inspire you. Today, we have Talek Nantes, who began traveling before she was born. Her mother was pregnant with her when her mother traveled from Cuba to New York City, where Talek was born. She likes to say, I was made in Cuba and born in the USA. In college, she determined that whatever she studied would have to lead to the ultimate goal of traveling. So she studied international business. She obtained an MBA and a master's in international relations from the University of Pennsylvania. She had a career in international business as an international business development professional, opening and developing foreign markets for U.S. products. This allowed her to feed her voracious wanderlust, traveling to 111 countries and counting, and living in Colombia, Spain, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, and the UK. After her decades-long career in the corporate world, she switched gears and became a travel blogger. She honored her Cuban roots by writing her Amazon best-selling book called Cuban Exile Memories: Journeys of Courage and Resilience in the Pursuit of Freedom. Her travel site is travelswithtalek.com, Talek, where she shares travel tips, advice, and destination guides with readers. She also created a vibrant Facebook group for women over 50 who love to travel called Over 50 Women Travelers Community and Resource Sharing. In this inclusive, non-political group where we share photos, travel photos, experiences, tips, and comments, it's really fun. It's a great place to find travel buddies, meet like-minded women, explore small group tours, arrange and participate in local meetups. People searching for travel tips and advice can find her at travelswithtalek.com and on social media. All of this is in the show notes. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Wow, 111 countries. I am at 70 and I would love to get to every country in the world, but you're way ahead of me.
You've got time.
I'm sure a lot of people ask you, what is your favorite? So maybe if you could name a country or two and why they were your favorites to.
Okay. Well, New York City would be my favorite location. I was born and raised there, and I go there very, very frequently. Much of my family is there, and it's just the most exciting place in the history of humanity, and I just love being there. So that's one. And no matter how many times you see it, it's like as if you're seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
It just blows me away, that
Yeah.
skyline. I also think that Cuba is absolutely gorgeous and very vibrant culture, full of music, art, color, architecture. I think that it has so many things to offer, and it is underrated simply because, well, one of the reasons is because of the political situation with the United States. But if one can get there, one will tell me, hey, you're right, that place is really amazing. Most beautiful countries, I was shocked to see that Scotland, the countryside of Scotland, is breathtaking. It's just breathtaking. That
Mm.
surprised me. One country that took me completely out of my, or took me the most out of my common frame of reference was Nepal, where I went to a funeral and they were burning the corpse. And the smoke, the people, the monkeys, the place where I was, it was just surreal. And
Mhm.
that kind of really sticks in my mind. But I could go on and on.
Yes. What part of Nepal were you in?
We went to Kathmandu and we went to Pokhara.
Mm,
And there was another one. I think the name of the city is Petan. I don't
mm.
remember exactly, but those were three spots. Loved it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I am lucky to go on one of her trips to Cuba. So how often have you been there?
Oh, too many times to count.
Yeah.
Just back and forth over the
Well,
years.
it's such a place of contrasts. In some sense, it looks like it is stuck in time, like a time warp there because of embargoes and trade situations. And you also do some helping the community there by bringing products that are needed.
Right. We started bras for babes because, well,
Mm,
we always bring down products, donations. They want used clothing, gently used clothing, batteries, eyeglasses, plastic containers, the most mundane things that you can think of is so extremely valuable to them, spices. And people would ask me, hey, you got any bras? Because we work a lot with women organizations. And okay, so I figured, okay, they want bras. That's what they have specifically been asking for. So I put it out on across my social media that October was um, breast cancer month awareness of breast cancer, and that let's use this month to collect, send me your bras and I'll get them down to Cuba to donate them to these needy organizations. And I was shocked at the level of response that I got. And not only how many bras, I mean, women would organize and they would say, okay, I'm going to my temple, I'm going to my synagogue, I'm going to my church, I'm talking to my book club, I'm going to whatever, all of these, uh, card games on Tuesdays. And they started organizing, and all of a sudden, I started getting these boxes and boxes and boxes of bras. So I still have a stack of them. Little by little, I've been giving them out to people that I know that go there. And I'm going to be taking some down with me by the end of the month. But one thing that was really astounding about this was not only the quantity that we got, but also that many of the bras still have the tickets on them. They
wow.
still have the price tag. So these women, wow, that just blows me away. They took their time, the effort to organize this, and they took their money. They didn't just grab some old bras, stick it in a bag. They went to J.C. Penney's and they grabbed a 20, 30, 40 bras and stuck them in a box and paid $35, $47 to ship it to me. Wow,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
something.
that is beautiful. What a sisterhood you've created. And you give away so much for free. Like there's a free ebook if you subscribe to her email list called 110 Best Travel Tips, which is
Yes.
full of some really great tips. Could you share for our listeners a couple of those tips?
Oh boy, there's so many. One, for safety, make sure that you leave your itinerary with somebody at home. That's one. When you are checking for flights, uh, don't just check one. As oh, now I'm trying to think of the names of these. Kayak is one, Expedia is the other. Don't just check one site. Check several of them. Three that I like very much are Momondo, Skyscanner, and Google Flights.
Mm.
Check all of them and then gather that information, hold on to that information. Get a travel credit card and save your points. That's important. Make yourself a member of hotel hotel programs, loyalty programs. These miles add up, and whether you travel frequently or you just go see the kids once or twice a year, I mean, a free ticket is not bad. It's fun to gather them. And
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of other tips, but I know our time is limited. So, hey, get the book. It's free.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. And you've also lived abroad a number of times. What is it like to live outside the US, or what is something that you didn't expect when you were living abroad?
Mm. Okay, I lived in Mexico for 4 years. With my company transferred me there uh with that program. Oh, I forgot the name of the program now. Well, Uh, while I was there, I was surprised how lax some things were. Like to get a driver's license, you didn't have to go and get a test. You didn't even have to prove that you could drive. You just went somewhere. You gave money to what they call a gestor, which means someone that will do things for you and organize things for you, resolve issues for you. And he would go and he would get a driver's license. So that kind of surprised me. NAFTA, that's the program I was trying to remember. I went down to Mexico with NAFTA. My company wanted somebody that would understand both businesses. I was with Kraft Foods, and they transferred me down there for 4 years. Most incredible country, absolutely fascinating. It's like five countries in one. They have such a rich culture, the art, the architecture, the food. Wow. Can't say enough about that. So that surprised me. That's one. And I'm sure that there are others. Oh, little mistakes that you make, like in Shanghai, I love to get massages, and they have this chain of massage parlors called Dragonfly. So I'm very familiar with Beijing, but not so familiar with Shanghai, but I still wanted to go. But Dragonfly was too far. But I saw that there was this other place that they had a sign there and they had these smiling women and there were a lot of lights and showing you people giving you massages. And I figured, okay, well, let me go there. So I went there and I'm like miming to them. I don't speak Chinese, so I'm miming that I want a massage and they're looking at me and they're speaking to each other. And the woman goes back to a room and you can hear them having this argument. Finally, they come back and they go, all right, like, yeah, we'll give you a massage. So there was this massage was not at all interesting. I went back to the office on Monday and people asked me, well, what you did? What did you do? And I said, oh, I got a massage. And they say, oh, you went all the way to Dragonfly? I said, no, I went to this other place. I said, you know what? That's a brothel. So so these
Oh
these
my
funny
God.
things that happen to you when you're traveling. I took in Brazil, I took a customer, an Orthodox Jew, to a restaurant, and I told the people that I was working with, pick a nice restaurant. They picked what they thought was a nice restaurant, a place called Porcão, which means pork. All they sell is pigs, every variation of pork. So I'm sitting there with this Orthodox Jew, and there's a big plate of pork all over the place. He was very gracious and he ordered a salad. But those are the kind of things, that happen when you're traveling. Oh, here's a classic one. In England, I kept seeing posters that said, oh, bill posters will be prosecuted. And we kept seeing it all over the place. And we're saying, who the hell was Bill Posters and what did he do? And finally came to the conclusion that he had to have been a pedophile because only such a horrendous crime could make these Brits react in such a way. And I told a guy that I was working with, he says, no, bill posters is when you post a sign, you people who post these signs on the wall are going to be prosecuted. So, oh, thought it was a guy's name, bill posters and things like
Right.
that. It's funny when you're traveling and
Oh
when
my
you're living
goodness.
abroad, getting used to where you are.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that you've had at least one emergency happen abroad. What is that like, especially if you're in a country where you don't speak the language?
Mm. Oh, don't speak the language. I had an issue in Cuba, I had an issue in Mexico, but I speak Spanish. I'm trying to think, did something happen to me where I didn't speak the language?
Or even in a country where you do speak the language, but they inevitably have different ways of dealing with whatever.
Okay, I got ready on a Friday night to see a program in Mexico when I was living there, and I had bought some ice cream, frozen ice cream. So I'm sitting there with my frozen ice cream. All of a sudden, my tooth starts to hurt, and I'm thinking, oh, it's a brain freeze, from the ice cream. I'm going to ignore it, but it kept getting worse and worse and worse to the point that I have to do something. This is a serious issue. So the phones don't work all the time in Mexico, and if you try to call somebody in an emergency situation like that, chances are, who knows. All I had on me for some reason was a $100 US dollar bill. That's all I had. I had no local currency, and I had to get to a hospital. So I called the night watchman, and I told him that, and he said, call the hospital, which was utterly useless. I had already tried to do that. So I flagged a taxi, holding my face. And I said, get me to the nearest hospital. Well, what hospital you want to go to? I don't know. I don't care. Just get me to a hospital fast. And he did. He took me to this hospital. And I opened the door and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have to run out of the cab without paying this guy, without giving him an explanation. Like, can you imagine how awful you don't do that. But I did. And I opened the door and I left and I yelled out to the guy in Spanish, this is my address. Contact me there. I'll give you the money. I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry. I ran to the hospital. They gave me an injection to stop the pain. I needed a root canal. Then the next day, I flew to the United States and had root canal. So that's one.
Yeah.
I broke a bone in my foot in Cuba once, and I went to the hospital. They treated me with the utmost professionalism and courtesy and compassion. I was surprised. I've never been treated that well. And the people that I was working with there, bandaged me up, and I managed to get on a plane the next day and got to, and I didn't pay a dime. I did not pay a dime. And I had a doctor, I had x-rays, I had a doctor look at me, I had a doctor patch me up. And they took me in an ambulance to my hotel for me to get my bag. I got my bag, then they took me to the airport. It was unbelievable, and I was proud to be Cuban.
Oh, that is a
That's
wonderful.
another one.
I sadly have seen some instances of ugly Americans abroad, which, for those of you who may not know, is when Americans who are tourists behave badly abroad, giving us a bad reputation. For instance, if they expect that everything is going to be up to US standards in a developing nation, which it clearly is not, and they get upset about it. Have you experienced that with any of your group travel tours, and how do you deal with that?
Yes, most people on these tours understand that Cuba is not Puerto Rico, it's not Cancun, that it's in a very difficult situation with a lot of shortages, and they understand that. But it's my job to make sure that they understand that so that they're not surprised when they get there. And also, as you know, Americans, tourism is forbidden by the United States government. So we have to only go and stay in people's homes and only eat in private sector restaurants and a lot of little regulations that are very easy to follow. And in fact, you want to follow them. It just makes the trip that much more interesting. I had this woman that was going to go, that did go, and her husband said, "Oh, I'm going to go with you." He didn't sit in on any of the tours, any of the information. He didn't read any of the information because he wasn't going. I saw at the last minute, he told us, "Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to work while in the hotel while you go do all your stuff." And he got to the hotel, patchy Wi-Fi. Nobody spoke English. He was extremely disappointed. He was not interested in being in Cuba. He wasn't interested in taking the trip. He was very honest. He said, "I want to go there to work." Had I known that that was his intention, I would have told him, don't waste your time. But he did go, and on the second day, he told his wife, just stay, enjoy yourself. I'm going back. I've got work to do. So I guess that's one. But that's not really an example of an ugly American. That was just, it just happened like that. He just didn't, he should have, He should have gone to the meetings if he just decided at the last minute, not an ugly American. Yeah, but I've heard ugly Americans, people peeing in places,
Oh,
uh, things
that's
like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, so most of this audience are women over 40, and many people in the audience have not been out of the country. What would you say to people who are thinking, I want to go, but I'm afraid, or I don't know where to start? What would you say to someone in that position?
I would suggest that they select a place first. That it depends on so many things. If you're the type of person that has always traveled with a company, you've never really traveled solo. Because there's the people that will go to, extremely exotic places, and there are others that simply don't want that experience. So it depends on the individual.
Mhm.
But I would say if you're just starting out, pick a place that's close to you. Maybe visit Florida and spend 3 days in Florida, get used to that. Maybe go to, New Orleans, San Diego, places like that where they speak the language that's interesting, that you get experience with eating by yourself, checking into a hotel and so forth. And then perhaps if you're interested in uh, places that are international, outside of the United States, then maybe try English speaking places like London, or places where everybody speaks English, like Amsterdam, that are very interesting and safe-ish, and not too far outside of your culture, of your frame of reference. Having conquered that, maybe go to Paris, where you're having a very nice experience in a lovely place, but it's a different language. Have the right travel apps with you, the maps.com, I'm sorry, maps.me, so that you can have maps while you're, even if you're offline, Google Maps, iTranslate, Uber. You can do Uber anywhere in the world, most places. China, you have Didi, which is basically the same thing. That's how I would say start it like that, and just go progressively further outside of your comfort zone until you're going to, what's Antarctica, which I know you've been to, or places that are really different and challenge can be challenging, like India,
Yeah,
like the interior of China,
yes.
and so forth. Southeast Asia, Africa.
Yeah, good advice. So I also like in my podcast to promote women with businesses, and you lead a lot of small group tours. So give yourself a plug. Why should someone consider taking one of your tours?
Okay, because we are fully licensed by, as far as Cuba is concerned, fully licensed by the United States government to take people there. We also have great reviews, so people should check us out, check out our Facebook group. So there's no better indication of how a trip is going to be than to read the reviews of the people that have been on the trips. I have had journalists go on my trips, and on my website, you can see their comments. They've written articles about their experiences on that. I'd say the most important thing is that it's cultural immersion. It's not just seeing on any trip, not just Cuba. I'm talking about China. I'm talking about Spain. It's not just seeing the sights. It's spending time with local people. It's having a cooking class, learning how to dance salsa, true interaction, listening to a professor of art talk about the art, taking an archaeology tour, or an architecture tour, and having people talk about that. So it's true cultural immersion. Lots of music, lots of night spots that are interesting, and you're with a group of people that are like-minded.
Mhm.
You're with people that are there because they want to be there and they find these things interesting. And most of our guests are older women, so you have that in common. You're not with, some 18 and or 21-year-old that wants to party all night, although that's certainly an option. And people do take their children, their grandchildren on these trips and they do party all night. But you've got that in common as well. So I think that those are, and also we're very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And we're small group tour. We're not these big buses with 54 people that if it's Tuesday, this must be Belgium type
Right.
thing.
Right. Well, excellent. So you continue to travel, and I would like you to share why. What does travel do for you?
And travel makes me happy.
Yeah.
The anticipation of a trip, the planning aspect to me is almost as much fun as actually being there. But boy, that anticipation, especially if it's a brand new place, there are places that you go back to often because you like them or for work. But seeing a new place for the first time, there's nothing like that. I had never been to Indonesia, and I just came back from a trip to Indonesia, and that was absolutely fascinating. You places even smell different.
Yeah.
I just love that. Getting off a plane, I remember when I had responsibility for West Africa at one point in my career. And the first time I had gone there, it was to Lagos and to the Ivory Coast. I remember getting off the plane and the smells were completely different. The air felt different. It was kind of heavier, but it was just such an interesting experience, not experience, sensation. It was such an interesting sensation. And I kind of like that. It's learning new things, just being exposed to these things. Oh, look at what they eat here, making new discoveries. And
Mm.
I've found so many different delicious foods that now I eat, I cook at home. Some
Yeah.
of them I make a disaster out of them. I like what this is the same thing I tasted in Jordan. There's no way.
Uh-huh.
But you keep trying. So that's
Agree with all of that. Thank you. And as the final question on all of these episodes, I ask my guests, what do you do to become your best version?
okay. I gave that question a lot of thought. And I've narrowed it down into three categories, mind, body, and soul. As far as mind, I try to do continuous education both formally, like with tech classes, because technology is not my main strong point. It's not my strongest point, but I have to be involved in it because I have a travel blog and I have to maintain it and I have to learn new things. And this is no longer happening. And the company stopped offering such and such a service. This is the new one. Oh my God, I got to learn a new thing. So I force myself to learn technology. And that I think keeps me fresh. And I also love languages. Um, I went to school in Italy. I learned Portuguese. My company sent me down to learn Portuguese. Spanish and English are native to me. So I just love to learn languages and to play with words. So I learned French. I've got this little app that whenever I'm sitting there waiting for something to happen, I'll just like take out my app and take a little French class. It lasts 3 minutes. So I'm on like 663 straight days of French classes so
Wow.
far. And I don't think I've missed a day. So that, as far as body, I try and keep in shape. I really make an effort at eating right. I just love food. So that's kind of tough, but I'm sticking with it.
Mhm.
And I try to limit alcohol, which I love wine and I love a good super cold dry martini with olives. So it's tough, but I manage. And we take some classes with I did Orange Theory for a while, and now I'm going to start with Pilates. And I walk constantly all over the place. And being from New York City, I mean, you just do that instinctively all your life. And we're going in May to walk the Camino de Santiago in northern Spain. So I want to make sure that I'm in good shape. And as far as soul, what feeds the soul is travel. There's nothing like it. And like you said in the beginning, like everything I've ever done has been with the objective to travel. My career, and after that portion of my career, starting a travel blog so I could just continue to travel. That's what feeds my soul. So those are the three things that would make me my best version of myself.
I love that. I agree with all of that. And I thank you for taking time out to be on the show.
Thank
That's
you for having me.
all right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. See you soon.